What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Existential Stoic Podcast. This is a quick fix number 26, being more persistent. I'm Danny. I'm here with my buddy Randy.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, Randy. And so today, this is a short, quick fix. This is a 10-minute episode or less. We're going to give you guys some tips for being more persistent. But first, why should we be persistent?
Well, I personally think that persistence is kind of a sign of self-love because, and here's how I've reasoned it, is that, anything that you want to achieve is going to require persistence. So it's kind of loving yourself to be persistent to get those things that you want. So that's why
I,
I see it that way.
I really like that. I'm not going to even add to it. I think that's awesome. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah. I'm going to borrow that henceforth. All right, so we each have three suggestions for how to be more persistent. It's my week, so I'm going to start. So my first one is, persistence. The definition is really to like endure or continue through something difficult. So really, if you think about it, that's the same thing as patience. And as you just mentioned, right, too, I think we need to develop patience, and I think working on this virtue is crucial. So being able to just endure, to sit through things, to not rush and sort of just try and get out of it, but really find a way to solve our problems and forge ahead. I think that's crucial.
hmm Yeah, and that's a great one. And I kind of visualize like a mountain or a rock or something, and all the weather going against it, and it just staying there. Like that's my mental picture of endurance and patience, because no matter what comes at it, it just stands there unwavering, and whatever was coming at it just passed or breaks on top of it, and it just stays there.
I like that too, because it's like geological time too, which is like so, long term, right? It's not this short term, like, day to day thing. It's like eons. So it's a good one.
Yeah. Yep. So my first one is do a little bit every day. So and here's why I think is important, because like we get the things we want by like teeny little pieces on top of each other, the compound effect. So just one piece on top of another piece on top of another piece. And just making sure that you get in a teeny little bit every day, that maintains your momentum and it allows you to keep on going. It allows you to be persistent. And it also, it makes it kind of makes you it makes you the type of person who does this. So
Oh,
like
I like that.
for
Yeah.
instance, like I decided that computer programming is something that's important to me and something that I want to do. And so because of that, I've made it where I do it every day. So ideally, yes, I'd love to spend hours doing it every day, but that's not reasonable. It doesn't happen. At the
No.
minimum, yesterday, all I did was I opened up a little app and I answered some questions about programming, and that was enough. But it was doing it every day. It was getting the check mark there, because that makes me the type of person who does computer programming every day. And that's
I
going to get me to my goal.
I really like that too, because it really requires you to take the perspective that, it's the baby steps that will get you there. So it makes it easier to persist because you break the problems down, but you're also just reinforcing it all the time, which I love. I mean, that's so smart because it makes sure that, like you said, you're that type of person. That's a good one. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I love
Um,
I love the what about Bob baby steps reference.
yeah, right.
Baby
That's a good
steps to
movie.
the door, baby
Yeah.
steps opening the door, baby steps to the elevator.
Oh
All
man.
right.
Oh, yeah.
On
Sorry.
to,
So my
on to your next one.
on the next one. So my second one is so I think a lot of times, when we struggle with persistence, it's because we're distracted. And I think this is true for so many things. So really stopping the noise, stopping the distractions, quieting our mind, and really looking at the situation can help us persist. And a lot of times this just means like reducing screen time. I mean, like if anybody looks at their life, I'm sure, most people can probably find an hour in their day just by putting their phone down or not watching TV to do other things. So there's usually a way to get through it. You just need to kind of clear your head and give yourself the time to do it. And that requires focus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one. So my next one is put X's on a calendar. So what gets measured gets managed. I think that's Drucker who said that. And I think Stephen King or someone was talking about, or no, Jerry Seinfeld. He was talking about how he writes jokes, and every day he writes jokes, he puts an X on the calendar, and he doesn't. And after a while, it starts to make a chain, and he doesn't want to break that chain. And that's kind of using this mentality to actually help make you more persistent. So
Yeah.
by putting the X's on the calendar, by measuring it, yeah, get to be more
Well, we're
persistent.
goal oriented, right? I mean, a lot of things we do, we're pursuing goals. So by doing that, you're creating mini goals. And no one wants to break a run, right? We never do. We want to keep those
Mm-hmm.
momentum going. And so it just more motivation. I like that one. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my third one's kind of something we talk about all the time, but I think it is crucial, which is, cultivating positivity. A lot of times persistence, I think of, at least personally, I think of like, being worn out, exhausted, tired. And that negativity, a negative outlook really hinders us in that sense. So cultivating positivity gives us the energy to deal with our life. We've talked about like the small delights and stuff, all these practices. You just mentioned one in our last episode about, like imagining taking the bad stuff and throwing it in the water. I think those kind of practices can help us get that positivity that gives us the energy to endure through these things when they are difficult. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, positivity is so important because it literally, like, you literally become a different person when you're being positive or negative. You literally become a different person. And like they've done studies where I think it was 70 or 80% of the time, your how you were feeling, positive or negative in the moment, totally dictated how you thought about your life. So if you were feeling
Yeah.
kind of terrible at that moment and people asked how's your life, you'd be like, my life sucks. But if you were feeling good in that moment and people ask you about your life, you'd be like, I have a fantastic life. And so that's a really important one, is cultivating positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Cool. So my last one is celebrate and reward discomfort. I think one of the biggest barriers to persistence, to keeping at something, is eventually it gets either boring or uncomfortable. And so a lot of people will give up when it gets boring or uncomfortable. So by rewarding those negative states that people don't like, every time you feel discomfort and you push through it, or every time you feel boredom and you do it anyways, by rewarding yourself for that, you're actually building yourself up as a more persistent person.
I like that one because it's really taking that negativity and trying to look at it differently and actually like, celebrating it in a way, because those things are always going to be part of the process. That was good. I like that one a lot. Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
so this is being more persistent. Those are our tips. I hope you guys find this useful for our little quick fix. Check us out, our full length episode at the end of the week. If you haven't listened to the past one, please, subscribe, click notifications, do all that, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on the podcast. We'll be back next week with a full length episode. Until then, later, Randy.
Later, Danny.